Okay, this is lesson 2, adding negatives. This should be the second sheet in your notes. Make sure you have the right set of notes, and remember, you can always rewind this video and go back. You can pause it. You can do whatever you need to do if you miss something. Don't be afraid to pause at any time and rewind it if you don't understand something. One thing I want to remind you is please, at any time, if you are an EL student, please make sure you hit the closed captioning and set it to Spanish captioning, because it will auto-translate. So everything I say will come up as Spanish in the bottom. So, adding negatives, lesson 2, and subtracting negatives. Let's just jump right into this. So, the very top of this, when you see rewrite this, whenever you see adding a negative or plus a negative, it just becomes subtraction. So whenever you see plus a minus, it just becomes subtraction. So rewrite it as subtraction. So the visual example, 3 plus negative 8, that just becomes 3 minus 8. And that's exactly what they did on the number line. They started at 3, and then they went, which way do we go when we subtract? We go left when we subtract. So they just went back 8 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and ended up at negative 5. Okay? Now, they kind of messed up here. Here is the actual answer. I rewrote it first, but the actual answer is negative 5. So let's go ahead and do all of these this way. Well, not all. We're going to do a couple more. Let's look at number 1. 11 plus negative 8. That is 11 minus 8. Plus minus, you just rewrite it as subtraction. What's 11 minus 8? You should already know that one. 3. Okay? Negative 10 plus negative 9. Oh man, this is getting really complicated, but no, it's still just negative 10 minus 9. So I have to start at negative 10 on a number line. You got to think about that number line in your head where negative 10 is, and then count to the left 9 more units. So if we start at negative 10 and count 9, we go negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, negative 14, negative 15, negative 16, negative 17, negative 18, negative 19. We're at negative 19, negative 10 minus 9. I'll do a couple more for you, and I'm not going to rewrite them that way. I'm just going to say, okay, negative 8 plus negative 6, that's just a minus. So negative 8 minus 6, again, I start at negative 8 and count to the left, 6. Remember, going left, the negatives are getting bigger. So negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, negative 14. So that's negative 14. 7 plus minus plus negative 7. That just becomes 7, negative 7 minus 7. Well, negative 7 minus 7, start at negative 7 and count backwards to the left, 7. So it starts at negative 7, goes negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, negative 14. Pretty simple. I'm going to ask you to do the next 4 on your own. So go ahead and pause the video and try to do the next 4. Subtracting negatives. Moving on to the next section. When you have 2 negatives together, just like here, a negative, or subtracting a negative, it just becomes addition. Okay, it's just addition. So this, under the visual example, is negative 4 minus a negative 3. That just means negative 4 plus 3. Well, what's negative 4 plus 3? Well, they're showing us. They started at negative 4, and then we went to the right, because we add. When we add, we move 3 to the right. We go 1, 2, 3, and that's how they got to negative 1. Okay? Let's do some more examples. Number 9. We've got 7 minus negative 1. So that's just 7 plus 1. Let's write it. 7 plus 1. What's 7 plus 1? 8. Very simple one. Number 10 is a little bit more complicated, but they simplify it for us because it's negative 17, And a negative right next to each other like that means add 2. So we've got to think in our head, this number line, we're at negative 17, we're to the left of 0. Well, which way do we go to add? We go to the right. So we got to move 2 to the right from negative 17. So that means we count backwards. So we start at negative 17 and go to negative 16, negative 15. So we're at negative 15. Okay? It's kind of like saying you owe somebody $17. You paid them $2. Now how much do you owe them? Now you owe them $15. That's all that is. Okay? Number 11, negative 9 minus negative 2. That's just adding. Let's rewrite it. Negative 9 plus 2. Well, I owed somebody $9. I paid them 2 of it. Now how much do I owe them? I owe them $7. So I'm still down $7. It's a negative 7. Or I can say negative 9 on the number line. I got to count 2 to the right. That's negative 8, negative 7. That gets me to the negative 7. Let's look at number 12. I got a negative 1 minus negative 9. Well, let's rewrite it. Negative 1 plus 9 equals. Well, if I'm at negative 1 on that number line, I got to count to the right. 9 units. I got to include 0 in my counting because there's 2 units between negative 1 and positive 1. You can't just skip 0 and go to 1. So I start at negative 1 and count 9 to the right. So negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're at 8 on the number line. Go ahead and pause the video and try to do 13 through 16 on your own. Now, on the bottom here, I want you to try and go ahead and do 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, and 27. Do the odd numbers. I want you to do these on your own. Okay, remember the rules. Go back and look at your other notes. This is a big thing in this class. This is why you're given these notes, is so you can go back and reference them in the future whenever you see something that we've already covered. Okay, so make sure you go back and check this again. Okay.